Hello, this is Mr. Kinyanola, and I am going to teach you how to find this missing angle right here. Find angle C. So let's look at what we have. We have angle C, we have a side, we have another side, and we have another side in this triangle. We have side, side, side. We have three S's, and we're trying to find this one angle. So it's not a right triangle. So again, we can't use Pythagorean theorem. We can't use sine, cosine, tangent. We can't use 45, 45, 90. We can't use 30, 60, 90. We can't use law of sines because we don't have an angle anywhere. But when we run into the situation where we have three sides and when we're trying to figure out one angle that's the opposite of one side, or one of these sides is the opposite of one of the missing angle, then we can use the law of cosines. And if you remember the law of cosines, it's used when you have an SAS situation. When you're trying to find a missing side. This, you can use it when you have an SSS situation, when you're trying to find a missing angle. So let's rewrite it so we can remember it, be re-familiarized with it. So it's C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AC, AB times a cosine of angle C. And look at that, it works out because the sides, the points on this triangle are A, B, and C. And if you remember, these two right here are, one of these will be the missing side, and these are the ones that are all givens. The A and B's are the ones that we already have, and one of these two will be the missing. So let's just plug all that stuff in. Let's get another color, and let's see what we have. So C squared, okay, is let's just put this here. So C squared is the side opposite missing angle. Okay, so this is our missing angle, and this is the side, and this is the missing angle. Right, and all four of these, well, just two of these sides are the givens, what they give us. All right, so let's do this. Let's find the measure of angle C. Let's figure out what the measure of this angle is. So the side that is opposite the missing angle is 16. So we're going to write 16 squared is equal to one of the given sides, which is 24 squared. You could put 15 first, whatever. But let's just put it second because I already wrote 24 first. Okay, and then minus 2 times 24. Okay, that given side again, times 15, the other given side, and cosine of that missing angle, and coincidentally, they're the same letter, so cosine of C. All right. Don't grab your calculator just yet. Okay, let's get all this stuff nice and easy for us before we grab our calculators. So what I want to do, what we want to do, what you want to do is get C by itself. So let's get C by itself. This 24 squared, let's not even try to even think about what 24 squared is. First off, it's not 48. I know your thing is 40. It's way bigger than that. It's 24 times 24. But let's get this 24 squared to the other side. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract this 24 squared on both sides. So it'll be 16 squared minus 24 squared is equal to 15 squared minus 2 times 24 times 15 times cosine of C. Is C by itself yet? No. What else can we get rid of? This 15 squared. How do we get rid of that 15 squared? We're going to subtract it from both sides. And we're going to put it right here. And it really is 16 squared minus 24 squared minus 15 squared is equal to negative 2 times 24 times 15 times the cosine of C. Okay, so all I really did was I took these two and I subtracted both of them to the other side. So next time you can do them both in one time. Okay, and now we want to get this cosine of c by itself. Now I'm going to show you this and do it in one step. This negative 2 is multiplying this 24 times 15 times cosine of c. This 24 is multiplying. This 15 is multiplying. All three of these are trying to multiply this. So what's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So we're going to do this in one move. Don't miss it, okay? So just stare. I want to get rid of this negative 2 and bring it to the other side. So I'm going to divide by negative 2. I want this 24 to go to the other side. So I'm going to divide by 24. And I'm also going to divide by 15. And I'm going to do that to both sides. So it'll be negative 2 times 24 times 15. And if you see, this cancels out, and this cancels out. So all we're left with is, now I'm going to flip it because I want the cosine on the side. So I'm going to write cosine of c is equal to 16 squared minus 24 squared minus 15 squared all over negative 2 times 24 times 15. Okay, so I divided these three right here that we're trying to multiply. I divided them because that's the opposite, and divided on both sides. Whew, this is some great algebra. Like, if you really know your algebra, then you should be all right. Okay, so, but c still isn't by itself. We want to get c by itself. What's the opposite of cosining something? Inverse cosining something. So we're going to rewrite this whole thing as c is equal to the inverse cosine of this entire thing. So it is, we're going to put a big old parentheses and put 16 squared minus 24 squared minus 15 squared all over negative 2 times 24 times 15. Whew. Yeah. This is our final answer right here. That's the angle. What's the measure of angle C? It's this goodness right here. Look how good that is. Okay, but that's a lot. It's a lot. So let's put this in our calculator. But before we type all this stuff in our calculator, I want us to put a big parentheses here and here. Not that big. And I took another color just to remind us, because we want to take this entire thing and divide it by this entire thing. So we're going to add these parentheses. This will be helpful if you have one of these calculators. Okay, so, and all we have to do with one of these calculators, these are the greatest things, because it does everything for us. Okay, we don't have to do separate steps. We can just type it in as we see it. So, second, cosine. And remember, make sure that your calculator is in degrees. And then we're going to put that extra parentheses there and type in 16 squared minus 24 squared minus 15 squared. Close parentheses, and then divide. And then we're going to divide this entire thing. Open parentheses. If you have a negative, yeah, use that negative. So negative 2 times 24, close parentheses, open parentheses, times 15, close parentheses, and then close parentheses. That'll be the red parentheses, and then one more close parentheses for the big parentheses right there. And look, my calculator even gives us a bigger parentheses. So it says that we're all closed. We have an equal amount of open parentheses and close parentheses, and let's press enter, and hopefully that gives us the correct answer, and that is the correct answer, 40.8044. So I'm going to box this and say that this is my final answer. But I'm also going to say that my final answer is about 40.804 degrees. And there you go. All right, so you're probably asking yourself, well, I would take a second, just look over what we did right here. Yeah, look what we did. That looks great. That's when you have a big problem like this and you show people what you've done and you've done it correctly, and they don't know how to do it, like, it makes you look kind of pretty cool. pretty intelligent. Okay, but we're just following steps. Okay, but let's say that you don't have a calculator like this. What do we do? Well, we're going to do something else. So let's grab our calculator. Let's grab this kind of calculator, not that fancy of a calculator with real buttons. All we're going to do is figure out what this is right here. So if you don't have a calculator like my yellow one, that's fine. You could still do it. Okay, so we're going to rewrite it as this. Cosine of -1. And then all we're going to do is use our calculator and type 16 squared. Find that x to the second power button. Okay, so it's right here. Or if you already memorized it, it's 256. And then type in minus 24 squared minus 15 squared. And then don't forget to press equals. And it's negative 545. So we'll just have negative 545. And then we'll find this denominator part right here. So type in -2 times 24 times 15, which is negative 720. And then now we can use this calculator. Press second. Oh, it's already there. Make sure you have that cosine to the -1 or the inverse cosine. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Make sure it shows up, but don't press it yet. Okay, so let's type in negative 545 divided by negative 720. And then press equals, and then that'll give us that. And then we'll get our inverse cosine, which is 40.8. So again, if you missed that, we'll type in negative 545 divided by negative 720, press equals, and then make sure that you can see the inverse cosine, and then press that button, and you have 40.8. So either way, you get the same answer. All right. Now, let's do this. Okay, so 2 ways of doing this. All right, so let's do another example. Find the measure of angle B. So here's angle B, and this is the side that's opposite to it. So these two are going to be the ends of our law of cosine sandwich. So we're going to write 26 squared is equal to 19 squared plus 21 squared minus 2 times 19 times 21 times cosine of B. Okay, so the opposites in the triangle that we're trying to find are on the opposite ends of our law of cosines. All right, so now let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. Now, if the previous example, the previous way that I showed you about subtracting all this was a little too much, I'll show you a different way. Okay. So you could use your calculator right now. Let's use our calculator right now. So it's 26 squared. Where's the squared button? There we go. Which is 676 is equal to 19 squared, which is 361, plus 21 squared is 441 minus, okay, 2 times 19 times 21 is 798. Okay, so instead of doing what I did in the previous one, instead of waiting until the square, I'm squaring it as we're doing it. Okay, so I left this negative here, and if you see in my calculator, I left them all positive, but this negative reminded me that it was negative. And then cosine of b. All right, now let's combine these terms before subtracting them to the other side. Okay, so 361 plus 441 is 802 minus 798 cosine of b is equal to 676. Okay, and then we're going to subtract this 802 from both sides. So 676 minus 802 is negative 126 is equal to negative 798 cosine of b. And we're going to divide both sides by negative 798. Make sure I wrote that 98 correctly. And we'll have cosine of b, these cancel out, is equal to negative 126 over negative 798. Whew. Okay, now we're going to take this b. We want to get b by itself, and we're going to get the inverse. So b is equal to the inverse cosine of, and we know that these two negatives make a positive. So let's not write those two negatives again. So let's make it positive 126 over 798. All right, now let's use our calculators. This might have been a little simpler than the previous way I showed you guys, because we were getting numbers that we're actually familiar with, and it's actually less algebra. It's just us using the calculator as we do it. So if you don't want to use your calculator in the beginning, then do the previous way. But if you have your calculator and you just feel weird about not scoring it at the beginning, then yeah, use your calculator. All right, so second cosine of 126 divided by 798. And we have 80.9153. So here's our answer, and here's the non-weird answer. 80.915, and let's round it to the nearest thousandth. So 3, that's 7, bumps that up. Degrees. There you go. All right. So this way might have been much simpler than the first way. So if you felt discouraged by the first way, then do the second way. That's why we have options. Okay. Everyone has different ways of getting to the answer, just as long as we get to the answer. Okay. And your way is still a correct way of getting there. So if you have this calculator, just type in 126 divided by 798, and then my calculator is already set to second, and then that inverse cosine, we have 80.9. Look at that. All right. And the last way, or the last example, and I'm going to do it, I'm guessing you like this way of using your calculator as we do it, so we're going to do it that way. All right, cosine. Find the measure of a using law of cosine. So here is a, and here is its opposite side. And let's type it in. Here's the bread of our law of cosine sandwich. 12 squared is equal to 7 squared plus 14 squared minus 2 times 7 times 14 times cosine of angle A. That's what we're trying to find. Here are the ends of our bread. Here are the ends of our bread. All right, let's grab our calculators. 12 squared. And if you don't have a square button, just type in 12 times 12. Make sure it's not 14 like I did. So that would have been really bad at the beginning. So 12 squared is 144 is equal to 49 plus 196. No calculator needed. Minus 2 times 7 is 14 times 14 is 196. Cosine of A. Okay, don't subtract these. we can't do that, okay, because this is multiplying. So don't say that this is 0. Okay, so we can only combine these two. These aren't like terms because this one doesn't have a cosine of a. Okay, so don't say that these cancel each other out. Okay, so we're going to take 49 and add 196, which makes it 245. So we have 144 is equal to 245 minus 196 cosine of a. We're going to subtract 245 from both sides. And 144 minus 245 is 101. Negative 101 is equal to negative 196 cosine of a. Okay, and then we're going to divide both sides by negative 196. And we'll have cosine of a is equal to negative 101 over negative 196. And I didn't really have to write those two negatives, but it's okay. And a is equal to the inverse cosine, don't forget that inverse, of 101 over 196. All right. So we're going to type this in. Second cosine 101 divided by 196 is 58.982. So about 58.9821, because that 8, because this 8 bumps that up, degrees. All right, there is our final answer. There you go. So if the first way that I showed you was a little too complicated, Mr. Q, why did you complicate us from the beginning? Just because I don't like using a calculator when it's not needed. Like, just use a calculator at the end. But it's okay. So if this way works, then this way works. Otherwise, you can use your algebra skills and do this way, but you don't have to. Okay? All right. So that's how you use the law of cosines to find a missing angle when you have a triangle that has all three sides. So just take the opposite ends and put them there, and then the givens go in the middle, in the sandwich of the law of cosines, and just whatever method you want. If you want to use your calculator throughout, or you don't, you want to wait till the end like this, then do it. All right, and that's how you use the law of cosines to find a missing angle.